Alright, what's up, y'all? Happy New Year's again. This is part 2 of the EBPD interview that I had. Let's go. And make sure y'all leave a like and subscribe, alright? It is not easy talking to so many people. And the problem I see with that is that it changes like the game fundamentally. Like, you're not playing East Brickton anymore, you're playing a prison roleplay.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of like that's something I think the community has to decide. Do they want more like quote unquote realistic prison time, so it's you're going to get hit harder for doing stuff, or do they want it to be more arcadey? I think that's just what has to be decided for people on this issue.
Do you think the community has a say on like the amount of time or things like this?
I personally think everyone has a say. I mean, if you got the entire community saying we want less time, and if we don't get it, we're going to leave. That's kind of it's essentially democracy. I don't think there is that huge, like, one-sided idea here, though.
Who do you recommend I would talk to if I were to start, like, a petition to change the amount of time? So I really do strongly feel like when players get, like, a weekday or a week time sitting in jail, they really don't want to come back to the game. Like, I don't think I've been jailed before. I think I've seen people in jail, but they only play the game for like 15 to 20 minutes and then they get off the game. Whereas if they weren't in jail, they'd be on for longer.
Yeah.
And it's like metrics like that how to put it, like if we're talking in the sense of Roblox, how long people are playing your game, how many people are playing your game, it would explain like the active player base. Like, we would have more players if they focus on like they focused on I don't know how to call it, but I guess the SEO of the game.
The start of what of the game?
I don't know exactly what to call it, but I would call it the SEO of the game, like the stats per se.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I do think I think people are definitely turned off like high rest times. I mean, people don't really want to sit in it. I think it's a good thing that it goes by over time, so you don't have to be in-game for an in-game arrest.
Oh my god, yeah, dude. I remember when someone told me they got jailed for XYZ amount of time, like I could see like the hours above their head, and I'm like, I hope to God you don't have to sit in that game actively for it to run like that. Otherwise, you're pretty much gonna have to quit the game. But yeah, I think that's one thing I'm glad for. But you know, again, that incentivizes people to just play something else, and therein lies the problem of people coming in and then leaving, or factions being created and they're just not active anymore because the players are gone.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say I know who these Montanis are, but I've been actively on the game for the past 2-3 months, I would say. And I can say for sure that the Montanis weren't there when I got back on the game. I don't think any Italian family was really like active that much. That's why I created my mafia and why it became as large as it is.
Yeah.
But back to my earlier question. Who do you think I should talk to if I were to start a petition?
That's a good question. I think I would say follow the chain of command, but I don't think like roleplay managers have much say. I'd see maybe if a community manager was open to it, they'd probably be a really good resource to talk to. I'd say make sure, keep it civil. Mm-hmm. Or if not, and they direct you to someone else, I'd say go to them. Maybe like faction management would be a good touchstone, considering you are a member of it.
I feel like a lot of us are having a hard time, like, communicating with the staff as of right now.
Yeah.
More than just myself, I've had like a lot of comments where people say that they've tried to talk it out and they just can't. So one person told me that if I had a problem with an officer, I should create a ticket. Do you think these tickets actually work?
Yeah, I've gotten spoken to on several tickets for really stupid things. So if they could get me for little things, you can definitely get through to them. I think I had a guy that said what was it? I think he disagreed that he evaded me after running from me or something, and he opened a ticket and IA sat me down in their office and said, "Hey, did this guy really run from you?" I'm like, "Yeah, he sprinted away." But they will read it, and they will go for it. We have a lot of active IA members. They will definitely sit me down and talk to me if someone opens a ticket on me.
Okay. And how long does it take for tickets to be seen?
I don't have a great view on this because I'm not IA, but from what I've seen, I think it's probably at most a day or two.
And the IA I was told was the department that investigates corruption. Is it still like active, or do you think that they themselves are a bit corrupt?
Really active. There's no corruption in them right now. I used to have a corrupt IA agent, but no longer. The captain's really strict on it. They're actually pretty good. There's actually not as much corruption in the PD right now. It's a pretty tight-knit, like, corrupt, quote-unquote, community, which is kind of hard to break into.
Yeah.
More so just because it's like, I see trust. My character's not going to trust random with, I have a lot of money.
What was the next question I was going to ask? So some of the things you guys do, I don't know, like warrants, or how you can see ATMs and who defrauded the ATMs. Like people like, I believe Nick will say that it's not metagaming. Do you believe that some of those things are actually metagaming?
I think it's metagaming if you use it in a specific way. Like if I walked up to Kane and I grabbed him because I see active warrant above his head.
So if you saw someone with an active warrant, like, do you have to roleplay like knowing about the warrant?
First off, they can't have a mask on. I can't go off of a mask. Sorry, if there's a mask on their face, I can't even try to. What I can do is if they're in a car and I think they're suspicious and I check for plates, unrelated. If I check their plates, I can pull up their name, see if they have a warrant, for example.
Okay.
Usually, there's like one. I don't need it. You throw it in there. That's it. I miss a lot of people with active warrants. They'll just walk by you. Like a good 1/6 of the player base probably has an active warrant.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm not often in a situation where my character would reasonably look and see for a warrant, and I think a lot of police are actually really hesitant to go after a warrant because they'll think it's metagaming. I had like a probationary police officer on another character try to report me for metagaming because I looked him up having a warrant. But I did my proper role playing, so I didn't go anywhere. So I think it's a thin line. The ATMs, if you're wearing a mask, we can't see who you are. We just see ATM at blank is being used. I was hoping I could see it, but it's the similar form. Say like 911 operator, suspicious activity at area ATM.
Oh, okay.
If you have a mask, we can't see your name at all.
And does the phone actually work for calling police? I've been seeing that it didn't work recently.
Now it does. This is actually someone calling right here.
Okay.
I've been kidnapped. I'm at Shafter Unit 1. That's a call.
So how do you feel about the police department having these many updates?
I think it's useful. For us personally, I'm always a fan of it. I know from what I've heard, there was a big stall in development for a while. And now police is getting a lot of stuff. I think they're useful. For us, kind of, because it makes it more realistic. Now we have forensics. We had to like kind of RP forensics before. And if someone just lies to you and says they didn't shoot, that's another thing. If a cop ever seems like they don't believe you, it's because there is an incredible amount of people that just lie, ICly and OCly. I had a guy say he argue fully that he didn't have a gun out when he did, and I had a clip of it. He just had a gun. He's like, didn't do it. And so after a time, ICly and OCly, you don't really believe people, so they'll claim self-defense, and
Okay. I can't say I have like too much experience, but I work as a prison officer, and I do understand that. But there are times where I do have to I have to prove something. Like if he says he didn't do it, I have to take his word, unless I can prove otherwise. Like even if I saw it, I have to prove it.
Yeah. We kind of have to like. We. Another thing is like if you. All right, this is one issue I'm annoyed about a little bit is the courts. The courts are really inactive. I think if they were more active, it would be more interesting.
Yeah.
Because what I always consider when I'm making an arrest is will it hold up in court? If I have a guy that shot somebody with a mask, evaded me, and didn't listen to commands, I'm not going to think he was defending himself. If I see a guy who has a permit, he stops when I say freeze, he complies, I'm going to say, oh, it's self-defense, and I'll let him go. That's my mentality.
Okay. So let's say an officer sees something happen, and then like let's say that officer dies or leaves the game and then comes back and sees that person again. Are they allowed to arrest them on what happened in the past?
Alright, well, if they have a warrant put out, the warrant only disappears if they CK it or if a corrupt cop gets rid of it. So if a warrant is put on you, that goes across lines.
Okay.
But say like I witness you rob a van or rob a guy and then I'm shot or I leave, I wouldn't arrest you. I'd call that metagaming. That's afterlife in a way.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't come after you unless, I guess an example would be, if I see you do a crime and I record the crime and I'm building a case file on you, or I know you've done this crime, I might go after you again. That would be an example if we had like a roleplay thing that like made me interested. Or another one is I see people, also adverts by the way, anyone can read an advert.
Mm-hmm.
I think the staff ruling was VPNs aren't real. So if you advert, your name's there, whatever you said's there, and I can see it and I can use it. So.
Do you think an advert is metagaming? Like I'm not sure how to explain like the real life.
No, I agree. I think it's weird. I wish you could use targeted adverts. But I guess the purpose of an advert really in this game is it's going to be like consider it like a Facebook post. I think that's what it is. So putting anything illegal on it is a poor idea. But at the same time, I think there should be a better way. Sorry, I think someone just put a car into the PD station.
Damn.
That's interesting.
So on the topic of forensics, how do you explain like the forensics of a situation?
So now how forensics work is if you shoot a gun, and it ejects rounds. Alright, yeah. So for forensics, if you fire a gun that ejects rounds, the casings will be on the floor for me to collect. I then have a lab in the police station, which is right here. It's the lab. I click it. I have like a 95% chance to tell what weapon was used. A 50% chance to find handprints if you didn't have a glove, I think. Less if you did have gloves on. I'm not sure on the exact percents. I think Marcus announced it though. So then off that, it'll send me in a little report and I can see, oh, this guy shot a gun X minutes ago. And this many rounds were fired. It traces back to him. This is the gun. So that's how forensics work.
So it's based on the casings. Does it say who shot them?
If I run forensics and if I get fingerprints.
How do you get fingerprints from casings of bullets?
No, sorry. It's what even is it? I think the way they explain it is you have to load in the rounds manually when you reload your gun. So you have individual shells. So you have to pick them up and put them in a magazine. So that's where fingerprints would come from. A little weird. But that's the explanation. There is something, though, to consider that I don't know if anyone's picked up on. Is revolvers in real life and East Brickton don't eject shells, they remain inside. So if you use a revolver, you don't drop shells.
Is that actually, like, in the game?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow. Okay.
So that's something to consider.
Where's somewhere where I can find out like these explanations of how these things work? I feel
that was an announcement Marcus made, I believe, regarding forensics. Otherwise, a lot of what I'm telling you is just kind of stuff that I know.
Oh, okay.
It's the camera, yeah. I mean, none of what I'm saying is like secret, so.
Well, it's not secret, but like no one. No one knows.
Yeah. I think a lot of it sometimes I'll like try to explain to somebody in class and like when I'm arresting them, but they're just belligerent and don't listen.
Yeah, I know for a fact if you told me, hey, you shot a couple bullets 10 minutes ago, I'd be like, yeah. That's definitely metagame.
Yeah. Alright, and then, just gonna finish this up and then I'll be all off it.
Sure.
Fraud and evasion.
So do you think that police, with the amount of abilities they have, that they're low-level moderators, you could say?
We're explicitly told we're not allowed to moderate. So, say you RK. Outside of you killing somebody in game, so everything has to be treated as an IC experience. Like, I can't help you if you're scammed, really, outside of what's in the law. I can arrest someone for theft of over $10,000.
Okay.
But explicitly told we can't be mini-mods. I can't arrest or shoot an exploiter. That's against PD's code of conduct.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So, we are told we can't. So I think, mostly no. I wouldn't call us moderators. I'd say like in an IC sense, I suppose, but not OC.
Okay. Another question is not really to EBPD directly, but if someone had you at gunpoint and you had a gun on you, are you allowed to like quick draw your gun and shoot them?
Nah, we have to follow gun fear. Like I got CK'd for that, so I got taken into a room. 3 people pulled my gun on me. I didn't have my gun out. And I was like, okay. They took me to a room and they CK'd my character. We have a lot of hostage situations with officers. Mm-hmm. I think some officers may struggle. That might be like a personal issue where they try to pull their gun, but no.
Can you explain like how to put it? Like more than just in the rule sense. Like if we're talking about like real life, someone told me that like I shared a Peaky Blinders clip. They told me that was just a movie, that it didn't count, but the Peaky Blinders was a real thing, and there were times in history where like someone has a gun pointed at you, and for example a cowboy would quick draw their pistol and shoot before they're shot.
I honestly think it's kind of realistic to try to quick draw. I think some people are also ICU, like say you're a box head. This is a kind of poor example because I think in real life it works, but in the game it can blend really closely into like fail RP.
Okay.
But I personally think you should be able to try to, like, alright, one thing I did when I was getting CK'd.
Yeah.
It's the wall. I slammed the guy when he had a gun in my head because I know I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Anything I do at this point is valuing my life, I'd say.
Yeah.
So I'd say you could probably quad it. Again, not a staff member, not qualified for this. Basically. But in my opinion, if you know your life is in danger, yeah, I'd say you can quick draw because you're like, okay, I'm probably gonna die. I'm gonna try my best to not die. One thing to consider though, this is not actually enforced much, but it is a rule. If you shoot first at a member of the police department, and you are killed, you do get CK'd.
Okay, so if I was like, I hate this guy, and I just shot rounds at him, I missed, and then he killed me, that'd be.
If it was a police officer.
Okay.
Yeah. You're shooting first at the police officer. If I shot at you and then you shot at me, fair game. You die, whatever.
Is that like a rule posted somewhere, or is that just something that's known?
That's a good question. I know that that is a rule. I don't know where it's posted. I honestly don't know too much about this game. I'm pretty new to it.
Yeah.
But that's just as admins have told me.
Okay.
Right.
And what exactly is the process for becoming EBPD and like rising the ranks? I've had some people. like display interest in wanting to join, but they don't know anything about it?
So we have a server, in our main server, EBPD.
Yeah, I got that part, like the applications and all. But beyond
released the
applications, like what actually happens?
Okay. Beyond applications, so you get into Academy, you have to go through 6 phases of Academy.
Okay.
Once you're through those, you graduate. Those phases include like a lot of tests. It's actually an incredible amount. So once you do all those, though, you get to a probationary period. You have to do multiple ride-along hours, so you have to be with another person. And like for instance, I'm an FTO, which just means I take little probationaries out and do ride-alongs, but I don't really do that too often. It's not super entertaining. But aside from that, you have to go through that process. Then you're put into the patrol unit. From the patrol unit, you have to remain in there for a little bit until applications open up for other units, which is SWAT, Detectives Bureau, Police Processing, and IA. So you can go into one of those. Once you're in one of those, you can rise up through those ranks. The basic kind of rank structure is you're going to have a officer rank, a senior officer rank, a junior or a junior like kind of commissioned rank, so like a corporal. It's not really commissioned, but it's an NCO rank, not commissioned officer rank. After that, you're going to go corporal, sergeant. After sergeant, you have lieutenant, 1 lieutenant. And then after that, you're a captain. Then you go into the high ranks, which is like deputy chief of police, all those other stuff.
Okay.
But progressing is largely activity. If you're active, you'll be recognized and you'll be promoted. The patrol unit always needs people.
What exactly does the patrol unit do? Do they just drive around the city and just be active in the game?
That's your beat cop. So if you ever imagine what a police officer is, that's a patrol unit. You're in uniform, you're in a car,
okay.
You do police stuff.
Okay.
That's it. Then Detectives Bureau handles a lot of investigations, undercover work. SWAT they patrol in uniform, in like normal uniform.
Yeah.
Trespassing, back up, so they patrol normally.
Speaking of, are SWAT allowed to like initiate? How to put it? Like say if a police officer were to ask you questions or to investigate something that they think happened, is the SWAT allowed to do the same, or are they specific to like robberies, assaults, or shootouts?
You can treat SWAT as a normal officer. That's kind of what they're just an officer with more guns.
Okay.
We recently changed it so they can't patrol with weaponry. So now they're just normal until they're called in. They're essentially just a normal officer. Their specialty though is, running through a door and getting shot 15 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, well, that guy's done. Okay, I think I AFK'd it so I can actually talk better. Yeah. So that's kind of the main thing. So, Go on.
Okay. When officers call for backup, how do they do that? I've seen maybe like one person try to RP doing it on a radio.
Here, I'll screen it.
How do they do that?
Do you see?
Yeah, I can see.
I'll type /PD, then code, so I type /PD. What is 32s to office. Like that. So I type that. It would show up in this radio. Every single police officer can see it.
Okay.
I pause when I type it. Some frozen place it says leaning over the radio. I don't know if you can see, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of it. That's how it works. Any police can see it, they can respond to it. Okay. We can use the radio for injured. It's an important distinction.
And
if you're injured on the ground.
It's up to you if you want to really answer this one. Have you seen people? Yeah, have you seen people like calling for backup outside of the game?
No, not really. We don't really use a VC too much, so I can't say I've seen that happen. It's always through the radio is the way to do it. and we're really strict on that too. There is a lot of like, if you mess up, we have a whole warning system, so you can get an IC or an OC warning. So if you do something IC warning, like say in game, they catch me accepting a bribe, and they're like, okay, we're giving you a warning. I get a roll for that. Or say OC me if I I give somebody an extra time that they shouldn't have. Yeah. I get an OC warning for it. And then there's a zero tolerance policy. If you do anything on zero tolerance policy, yada yada yada. So there's different ways for that to work.
So I guess that goes back to one of the early things we talked about giving too much time. Do you think that it's better to give one crime that encompasses all of them, or to have like all the ones underneath it as well?
I think it's better to have multiple, because if you know the law, you can benefit off that. So if you were really familiar with the law code, you'd be able to commute your sentence pretty hard. Also, if you, I guess it's just like a lot of little bits lets you lower your time. Whereas, say if you could just commit a murder and there's a big chunky time for murder, bam, you're done. But say you take the time to plan out how to commit this murder so that if you're caught, it doesn't affect you at all. You're gonna get like a lot less time, and I think that's a cool little thing you can exploit. I think it's also fun on the PD side, as pretty accurate to real life. I think we're kind of going for as many. We're trying to get you on everything we can. So that is fun for the PD side, I'll say.
Okay. I brought up this idea in a small sense. I thought it would be cool to have a group of people who teach others about the game. How would you feel if like maybe I had a petition done and like Marcus happened to see it and maybe he gave us like a spot to teach others? Would you be open to that sort of thing?
I mean, I'm always down to just like help clear up misconceptions about the police department, since there's a lot of anger or kind of animosity between the two quote-unquote sides.
Yeah.
Because while they kind of mix, not usually, and there's kind of a disconnect from people policing and people just playing the game, and everyone always thinks they're in the right, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty hard to kind of like sit back and see both sides.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm always down to help people clear misconceptions.
Alright, so that is it for now. There'll be a part 3, probably a part 4. Just keep a lookout.